I've had a rough couple of days. Got attacked by a weed whacker yesterday. I'm going on 3 hours of sleep. Why do I do that with my eyes? So, everyone's still sleeping, so I thought I'd jump on this, me waking up 4 hours too early, to tackle sharing the help of the puppy and the meow. Boop boop. Oh, I've done a lot of nursery work, and I've done a lot of daycare. And so if you're a mom and you have a couple of young children, like 5 and under, this is a scenario that's going to play out in your life often. Sorry. This is my toy. I want it, but I'm playing with it. No, it's my toy. You can have it. Oh. Pew, pew, pew. So, the first step is prevention. You want to try and step in before there's an issue, and as early as possible before they get to hitting. Now, sometimes when they reach a certain age, like 18 months, where they really don't have the vocabulary, or like, I'm going to use my words type of situation before I hit you, they're just going to hit. And so what you want to do is, when you see this, I want that toy, and you kind of step in. And especially if you're in transition, this is a huge problem for families in transition. And when I say transition, I mean you're going from an authoritative paradigm to a whole life unschooling partnering paradigm. And so what the kids are usually used to is this: fighting over the toy, and mommy or daddy come in, or an adult, and says, uh-oh, this toy gets a time out because you guys are fighting over it. Nobody gets the toy. Now, what just happened is they did not learn any communication skills. They did not learn how to talk to each other about it. They didn't learn any problem solving. They learned nothing. So with children, you're going to use something called reflective listening. Just a second. Reflective listening is when you just kind of repeat back what that person is saying. So if you have 2 3-year-olds, 2 4-year-olds, or whatever, and they're having this argument over the toy, then they need to learn how to problem solve, or else you're still going to be stepping in at 8 or 9 years old if they don't figure out how to do this. So it's going to look a little something like this. Oh, and if they've already gotten violent, like hitting, people have asked about that, like, how do you handle hitting? And I try not to, only if it's on the rare occasion, like this one kid I knew who would violently, viciously go after the other kid, like, and then I would like pick him up and move him away, and he would go right back to attacking the kid. Except for that, I try and do this, and I'll squeeze my little shoulder in there, and I'll do a little wiggle, and I will put myself right between the two of them. So now I'm sitting on the floor in between them, my legs crossed, and if need be, if they're still upset, I'll have my arms out like this. So like one's right here and one is right here, so that they can kind of see each other, but I am preventing any physical altercation or violation of autonomy on their part. So I haven't grabbed them, I haven't done anything, but you just kind of, this is terrible. Okay. The other issue is the toy. Once you have separated them, or even before you separate them, you ask for the toy. This is going to be difficult for families in transition because previously, when a toy was fought over, parent then confiscated it and took it away. So they're not going to be really confident or secure in giving you the toy. They're not going to trust you with the toy. And that's the hard part. But you still want to ask for the toy. Now, the reason you want to ask for the toy is as long as Kitty has toy, Doggy is not listening to what she's saying, to what you're saying. He's focused on the fact that Kitty has the toy. And he's angry about that. And that's all he's going to think about. Kitty has the toy. I want the toy. So what happens is you say, Kitty, may I hold the toy while we talk about this? So the toy goes into my hand while I'm sitting cross-legged on the floor, and it just sits in my lap. Now, if you're in a family that has been whole life unschooling, or at least more respectful of autonomy, you're not grabbing toys out of the kids' hands, they will often, when I was in the daycare, they were really, a lot of the teachers did do the toy timeout thing. And so when I first started working, they were really hesitant to give me the toy. And I said, well, you can't solve the problem while you have the toy. I just want to hold it. I don't want to take it away from you guys. I just want to hold it so that we can focus on the problem and talk about it. Because because if he has the toy, Kitty can't talk. If Kitty has the toy, Puppy can't talk. If I have the toy, then the toy is secure and they can better focus on the conversation. We're sitting on the floor cross-legged. I have the toy. The toy is with a neutral party. I want to represent myself as the neutral party. Which means I have no interest, absolutely none, if Puppy gets the toy or if Kitty gets the toy. It's not my decision. It's not my choice. This is their problem. It's not mine. I can't fix it for them. Okay. So there's two different things that you're going to do. Is you are going to do reflective listening and like I see, make observations, neutral observations, because it helps them identify. So okay, so now I have the toy sitting on the floor between them. At this point, they are very angry. Somebody got hit, and somebody's probably very upset that they got hit. Kitty hit me. Oh, Kitty, he said that you hit him. Well, I wanted his toy. She said that she wanted your toy. Well, she can't have my toy. It's my turn. He says that it's his turn. You see what I'm doing here? But I want a turn. She says that she wants a turn. Well, I'm still playing with it. Well, he's still playing with it. The other thing you're going to do is that they're not as candid about using their words and talking about it. She hit me. Do. Stomping his feet, being angry. Oh, Puppy, I see that you're very angry from getting hit. Your face is frowning and you're stomping your feet. I see that you're very angry about getting hit. I am. He was very angry about getting hit. Okay, so this conversation is going to go on for a little bit. When you first start out, and if your family is in transition, it'll go on. I've sat between two 4-year-old boys for 45 minutes. It's not a cup of tea. It's not a walk in the park. But I've only had to sit down in 2 more sessions with those boys, 2 boys. There was a 45-minute session, a 20-minute session, a 5-minute session, and then I was no longer needed. Those 2 boys can talk it out like a pro. And that's the goal. So eventually, with enough of this, he said, she said, you're not going to be needed when you do this enough times. They're going to get this type of conversation on their own. So then what's going to happen is she says she wants a turn. You're going to keep doing this. And then if it seems like it's kind of going nowhere, you can kind of throw out there, how can we solve this problem? And they might. Because they might throw out, well, he should have it for 5 more minutes. Or give it to me right now. Or I'll give it to her when my turn is done. Now, either the other party will agree to it or they won't. And you do the reflective listening and making observant statements. So then they'll probably come to an agreement such as, you can have a turn when I'm done with it. Okay. Or, how about 10 more minutes then it's my turn? Okay. So they're perfectly capable of coming up with ideas. Now in the beginning, they might. So far, this is what they learned. This toy goes into timeout. There's no problem solving. So when you first start and you're sitting in between them and you say, how can we solve this problem? And you pause and you sit in silence, they might sit in silence too. Now, another thing that might happen is that they go back and forth and you do reflective listening. Enough time that Kitty says, never mind, I don't care about the toy, or says something shiny. Wow, you have the square toy. Would you like to play with the circle toy while you wait? Would you like to play with the circle toy while you wait? There's other toys in the room that you can play with while you wait your turn. And so if it goes long enough, it might be that Kitty wasn't all that interested in the toy, and that this conversation is totally turning her off of the toy, and she's just going to go off and play with something else because she's done with the conversation. I didn't even want the toy that much. So that could happen too, and then Puppy's free to play with the toy. Oh, looks like Kitty's not interested. Here you go. Have the toy back. Okay. My work here is done. Once a resolution has been reached and you're still holding on to the toy, yes, I will play with the circle toy while waiting for Doggy to wait his turn. Now, Kitty, did hitting Doggy get you the toy, or did talking about it? Did hitting Dog help, or did using your words help? Using my words. Did hitting help the situation, or did hitting make it worse? Hitting made it worse. So you want to wrap up every conversation where there was a physical altercation, touching upon the fact that the physical altercation solved nothing. And you want it to have a quick little moment, therefore, a quick little moment of using our words helped solve the problem. The more you know. It can help to put the hitter in timeout, because they, again, no problem solving skills, no being able to talk about it. I only have to do this a couple of times with 4-year-olds, 4 to 5-year-olds that have always been in, have their problem solved for them. So I only have to do it a couple of times. 2-year-olds, their emotional understanding, it's a little bit of lacking. So you're going to have to do it for maybe a year. But the result is having a 3-year-old that can clearly verbalize what they want, ask for it, and not use hitting. So it's well worth the time while everybody else's 5-year-olds are still smacking each other around when they don't get what they want. Coffee break. And sharing is not caring. but it's disempowering. To force sharing is to take away their power, to take away their choice. This is their power, and if you take that against their will, that kind of violates. They're going to want it. The next time they have it, it's going to hoard it. They're going to hoard it, and they're going to want it more, and it's going to make them less likely to share. No, I don't want to share. Oh, you have to share. We don't have to share our cars. We're not forced to do any of that as adults. We have the right to say no. Children have the right to say no. They should have the right to say no. So if it's their toys, and if it's this, like if my son wants to take toys to church, I will say, please don't take toys to church that you are not willing to share. Deal? And he'll say deal. So if he takes a toy to church and a little boy is there and he wants the toy or to play with his toys, I will say, remember, you said that you would want to share these toys. Now, I just will remind him, and if it's still a no, sorry bro, he doesn't want to share right now. You're having a lame church toy. But for the most part, because he went to church expecting to share, he's okay with sharing when you get there. If you have any questions, anything about that, I hope that was helpful. A lot of people find my dialogues and discussions way helpful, and so it's kind of hard to come up with one on the spot. If you want to read more about it, I'll put a link down in the comment section about a book that I have not personally read yet. The waitlist is forever, but it comes highly recommended by a lot of people that I know and trust their opinions, that have lifestyles similar or like mine. And remember to practice patience. You gotta practice patience yourself. Don't get frustrated. You have to find this happy place and emotionally separate yourself, because it's not your problem. Don't take what they do or say personally. I just kind of sit there and look straight ahead and just be like, he said this and he said that. Because they feel in the beginning that they need an adult to intervene, and they rely on that. So that's all you're there for, is emotional support, and to be like, well, he said this, and then he said that. Because children didn't listen to each other. They weren't taught to talk to each other. They were taught to listen to the adult in their life. So if you're in transition and making changes, and your kid is still de-schooling off of your previous paradigm, then it's an important thing to transition. You can't just let two kids who have never solved the problem on their own go at it and it be like, oh, they'll figure it out. You don't. You have to model and you have to teach, and so you kind of have to step in and be like, he said this, and he said this, and he said this, and that's all that you're doing, and that's all you're there for. You don't want to be going, you should give him his toy, your toy. You shouldn't hit. You shouldn't. This is a non-judgmental, you are a non-judgmental person with no interest in the game. You don't care who gets the toy. You don't care what happens or anything like that. And no, the hitter's not going to get a punishment or anything like that, because they just learned hitting doesn't work, words do. And so when my son was young, his hitting tantrum stage lasted all of 2 weeks. That was it. And he's an only child, so it was just me. And if he like smacked me or we went to a play date, we did do a lot of like, we would go into the other room and we would calm down by the cot. A lot of sitting and advocating for the other person, but that's all just reflective listening and repeating what they say and saying, I can see from your frowning face and you're stamping your foot and your fists are clenched that you are angry. What's going to happen later is he will then be able to be like, oh, I'm angry, because he stomped his fists are clenched, and now he knows that that means he's angry. So if somebody takes his toy, he can say, "Oh, you took my toy, that made me angry." Whereas before, he didn't know that that's angry, and he would just be angry and just punch. So he doesn't have the words to communicate how angry he is, so he would just punch to communicate how angry he is. That's, I don't know how to sign this off. I never do. Anyway, have a good morning. Have a good day.
Crush that like button.